I don't know how well this is going to work because I'm trying to walk Callie while I do this. I'm over at a friend's house, so just taking a little walk in her woods. I much prefer the woods that she has to the woods that I have. And she has any pines that are in this area are basically planted one. This is a white pine. It's got all kinds of tall trees, and it's much more open here than it is at the woods at my house. She's got a dirt pile here, stuff that she's been working with. She's even got some daffodils coming up back here. And we've got our holly over here. You see, it's got all these nice sharp pointed leaves on it and a pretty glossy green to it. Here we have an oak tree, and the oaks, as you can see, even though spring is coming, it still has some leaves on it. And not only the oak trees, when I get in here more, and she's got a lot of beech trees, and they also had their leaves still. The beech and the oak are in the same family. You know, a couple years ago I wanted to see if I could find out why they kept their leaves all winter long, and came across the Native American tale. I wanted to print it out, but it wouldn't let me print it or copy it. So I basically just put my take on the story, and here goes. Years ago, used to be that when it got colder out, the leaves would all just turn brown, and all of the trees, they'd fall off. And back then, the pine trees, it had long, narrow leaves, and the holly, their leaves were kind of a oval shape, and it seemed like no matter how hard they tried, they just couldn't keep their leaves on. And when the winter winds blew, they came off. The wind hated leaves, and the winter also wanted to stay longer and longer and longer. And the trees, they just didn't know what to do. Well, one day they got together and they had a meeting trying to figure out what they could do to make it so that they could keep their leaves. Or at least, if not keep the leaves, at least make it so that winter wasn't so long. And they decided, well, we're going to try to hold on to our leaves. Well, it started getting colder and colder, and the wind started to blow, and unfortunately, the majority of the leaves came off of all the trees. And then the pines said, you know, our leaves stay green. Maybe if we tie it on real tight, we can keep them. And the wind blew even harder, shredded the pine leaves so that they now had needles, and your larch, well, they weren't able to hold on to their needles, and they all fell off, and to this day they still fall off. The only trees that were left now that had leaves on them were your hollies and your pines, and that didn't bother the wind at all, the pine, because they were just needles. They didn't hardly make any noise. Beech and your oak, though, that was really a problem, as well as the holly. So the wind blew really hard against the holly. And the holly, it didn't lose its leaves, it just lost bits and pieces of them, made all those sharp edges on it. And the wind blew against that and said, oh, ow, oh, I'm going to stay away from that, that hurts. Well, then it started in on the beech and the oak, and it just blew and blew and blew. And the oaks and the beech found that they were able to keep on in their leaves. The leaves are brown, excuse me, but they were able to keep them. And then wind would take a break and be a few days where there was no wind, And then the wind would try again, and it would blow. And the oak and the beech, they'd just hang on to their leaves as tight as they could, and they more or less just waved them in the face of the wind. And oh, that got the wind so mad, and the wind would take a break, and then it would try again. And the oaks and the beech would just shake their leaves at the wind, and the wind got really furious. Finally, come around March, the wind decided, I have got to do something. I have got to get these leaves off of these trees. And it started blowing and blowing and blowing. And the oak and the beech, they just kept rattling their leaves right at the wind. And it seemed like no matter how hard the wind blew, it just couldn't get the leaves off. And finally, by the end of March, the wind had enough, and the wind said, I quit. I just can't blow anymore. Well, to this day, your oak and your beech still keep the leaves on all winter long. Of course, now spring is trying to get here, and here we have a beech, and you can see it's trying to get the leaves out. And little buds there, looks almost like a rolled cigar. It still has plenty of dead leaves on it. When we look over in the distance, you can see the red maple. They're trying to get leaves on as well. So spring is coming. And it won't be too much longer before winter is completely beat back and we have leaves on all the trees. I hope you enjoyed the story. Have a nice day.